Okay, we are live and rolling, and this is the farewell show. I'm sorry to say for Paranormal Graveyard for a while. Um, it may start up again at some point, but Christina is pretty sick and has some stuff she needs to work out, and um, I will miss doing the show with her, and hopefully we'll get to start it back up again in the future. But anyway, uh, couldn't have had a better topic. Hello, Angela. Couldn't have had a better topic to do this with than poltergeists. Tormented spirits of the dead aren't always friendly. Sometimes the dead can learn to interact with the world. These restless spirits are called poltergeists, and according to the story, sometimes they can be incredibly violent. Paranormal Graveyard has found a few such cases that boggle the mind and chill the soul. And also, Michelle's going to be here with me tonight. She's going to be a little bit late. She has a showing of her condo that she's selling, and so she has to deal with that, but she'll be here as soon as she can. And she has a personal poltergeist case that we're going to talk about, so that ought to be interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start this off with the Thornton Health poltergeist case. In the 1970s, in Thornton Health, England, a family was tormented by poltergeist phenomena that started one August night when they were woken in the middle of the night by a blaring bedside radio that had somehow turned itself on. Turned to a foreign language station. This was the beginning of a string of events that lasted for nearly 4 years. A lampshade repeatedly was knocked to the floor by unaided hands. During the Christmas season of 1972, an ornament was hurled across the room, smashing into the husband's forehead. As he flopped into an armchair, reports haunted Croydon. The Christmas tree began to shake violently. Come the new year, and there were footsteps in the bedroom when there was no one there. And one night, the couple's son awoke to find a man in old-fashioned dress staring threateningly at him. The family's fear grew when, as they entertained friends one night, there was a loud knocking at the front door. The living room door was then flung open, and all the house's lights came on. Having the house blessed failed to rid the house of the phenomena. Objects flew through the air, loud noises were heard, and the family would sometimes hear a noise which suggested some large piece of furniture had crashed to the floor. When they went to investigate, nothing would be disturbed. A medium who was consulted told the family that the house was haunted by a farmer of the name Chatterton, who considered the family trespassers on his property. An investigation bore out the fact that had indeed lived in the house in the mid-18th century. Chatterton's wife now joined in causing mayhem, and often the tenant's wife would be followed up the stairs at night by an elderly gray-haired woman wearing a pinafore and with her hair tied back in a bun. If looked at, she would disappear back into the shadows. The family even reported seeing the farmer appear on their television screens wearing a black jacket with wide pointed lapels, high neck shirt, and a black cravat. After the family moved out of the house, the poltergeist activity ceased, and none have been reported by subsequent residents. Now, see, stuff like this is interesting. Of course, poltergeist in German is noisy ghost, and it is believed that um, activity can be caused by a teen, adolescent, or whatever going through puberty, pin up energy or whatever that's released, and that the activity only happens when that certain person is around. You hear different things, but any which way you look at it, it's still creepy. Hey, Roddy. Okay. The Enfield poltergeist case. Now, this one's interesting. Another English ghost, this one in Enfield in North London, made headlines in 1977. The strange activity seemed to center around the daughter, and here we go with what I was talking about, of Peggy Harper, a divorcee in her middle 40s. Again, it started on an August night, late at night, and urban ghost story relates Janet, age 11, and her brother, Pete, age 10, complained that their beds were jolting up and down and going all funny. As soon as Mrs. Harper got to the room, the movements had stopped. As far as she was concerned, her kids were making it all up. But things got progressively more bizarre from there. Shuffling noises and knocks on the wall were followed by a heavy chest of drawers sliding by itself across the floor. Mrs. Harper promptly got her children out of the house and sought the assistance of a neighbor. The neighbors searched the house and garden, but found no one. Soon they also heard the knocks on the walls, which continued at spaced out intervals. At 11 p.m., they called the police, who heard the knocks. One officer even saw a chair inexplicably move across the floor, and later signed a written statement to confirm the events. Several people were witness to the events that occurred in the following days. Lego bricks and marbles were thrown around the house and were often hot to the touch. In September of that year, Maurice Grouse of the Society for Physical Research came to investigate. Grouse claims that he experienced these strange happenings. First, a marble was thrown at him from an unseen hand. He saw doors open and close by themselves and claimed to feel a sudden breeze that seemed to move up from his feet to his head. Rouse was later joined in the investigation by writer Guy Lyon Playfair, and together they studied the case for 2 years. The knocking on the walls and floors became an almost nightly occurrence. Furniture slid across the floor and was thrown down the stairs. Drawers were wrenched out of dressing tables. Toys and other objects would fly across the room. Bedclothes would be pulled off. Water was found in mysterious puddles on the floors. There were outbreaks of fire followed by their inexplicable extinguishing. The case became decidedly unnerving when the spirits revealed themselves through Janet. Speaking in a deep, gravelly voice through Janet, the spirit announced that his name was Bill and had died in the house, a fact that has been verified. The voices and the phenomenon have been recorded on tape and film, and Playfair has written a book about the case called The House is Haunted. Despite the documentation, however, much controversy surrounds the case. Skeptics claim that the case is nothing more than a work of a very clever and mischievous girl, Janet, of course. The poltergeist activity always stopped when she was watched closely, and when she was taken to a hospital for several days to be tested for physical or mental abnormality, the phenomena ceased in the house. Some researchers believe that Janet taught herself to speak in a strange male voice, and that photos of her levitating in her bedroom merely caught her jumping off her bed. Was this poltergeist case just the result of an attention seeking 11-year-old? Now, if you guys remember, and girls, this is the case I think that the Conjuring was based on. The Conjuring 2, I'm sorry. I think this is the one. You guys remember, and girl. Okay. Somebody's playing the somebody's playing the player in the chat room. Hello.
Paul just said, "Oh my God, I just seen a blonde ghost." It was me trying to log in the chat, so that's why we got the reverb. I'm sorry.
Have we got blind ghosts logging into the chat, you guys? Poltergeists are afoot.
They are.
And they may be on somebody's foot. I don't know. Anyway, that's a very interesting story, though, and I do believe that's the one that The Conjuring 2 was based on. It sounds very much like the same one. Anyway, welcome aboard, Michelle.
Thank you.
I hope everything went okay with your showing.
Yes, it did. It took a whole 15 minutes, of course. You know, I try to go into detail, and they're like, "Okay, great, we see it. Bye." And I'm like, "Bye, I gotta go." Anyway, so
right, Blondie.
Right. Yeah. It's asking me to log into chat, and I'm afraid to do that because I'm afraid I'm gonna get off. I should have done it first, but I didn't. So I can see chat. I just type. So, anywho, we're here, right?
Well, if you can see what's in the chat and they ask you something, they can hear you, so you can just answer them loud, no problem. That's what I do because I can't type in there.
Okay.
It was Roger. Hey, Blondie's in here. All we need now is a Dagwood sandwich.
That's right. All right, I'm trying to find where you were in the case file you sent me.
Okay. That was the end of the second one.
Okay.
The next one is the Danny Poltergeist case.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you talked about the 11-year-old, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Cool.
That's the one I think that was based on the Conjuring 2, or the Conjuring 2 was based on that particular poltergeist case.
Okay, great. So in your intro, I'm sorry I missed it. Can you go over what you spoke about?
Just basically the explaining that tormented spirits of the dead aren't always friendly, and sometimes they can be violent, and these are known as poltergeist cases. Poltergeist being in German meaning noisy ghost. And these cases are some that we put together to boggle the mind and chill the soul, as it were. And I did inform everybody that someone who we all know and love has a personal case that they're going to talk about.
Yeah, I do. And to be quite honest with you all, I had, always heard about Poltergeist since I started my paranormal career. I really never truly understood what that meant until this case that I would love to talk about happened. And I'm not sure how many of you out there are paranormal investigators. Like I said before, I don't like the word ghost hunter. We're not hunting anything. So until we investigate these issues and these cases, we don't really know what to think. I mean, we have the internet, we have shows like this to teach us, but until we cross that line and until we cross that boundary, none of us truly know what we're running into. Well, I'm 99% sure that this case was exactly a poltergeist. And the reason I know that is because it fits all the criteria. Would you like me to continue, or would you like to? Okay, great. About 4 years ago, I got contacted through my Kentucky Paranormal Research team by this lady here locally in Louisville, Kentucky, who had some issues going on with her children. She had, at that time, a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. Well, the 14-year-old just happened to be a girl, a little girl. And they were seeing black shadow masses. They were hearing booms in the night. Stuff was getting relocated in their home, et cetera, et cetera. So here we come to save the day. Here comes KPRT. We're going to fix it. Ha! And that's what cracks me up about all these teams out there is, you think just because you have a team and you come in that you're going to fix it right off. No. Especially when you've never dealt with the poltergeist before. Oh. Oof, breathing. This case still gives me the chills. Anywho, we went in, we did the typical paranormal team routine. Where you go and you do the baseline testing, you check for EMF, you do this, you do that. So I had a person on my team that is no longer on my team, unfortunately. That's a whole nother story. And we did the baseline, we got the background, we got all this. Well, here we are doing a preliminary, I guess what you would call, oh gosh. Yeah, I'm blonde, whoever said that. Anyway, so we did the preliminary where we put up our cameras, we run the EVP. And as a team, we would do this, we would do our cases like in a series of 3. We would do preliminary, and then we would do like the big womp womp, and then we would do a follow-up. And if all 3 matched, then we would feel that the case was closed. Well, in our preliminary, we got all kinds of crazy stuff. It's so funny because we caught 13 different entities, and we would joke around and say, well, we got 13 ghosts.
Like
there's a movie called 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it wasn't until we got into the second investigation that I found out what exactly was going on. We found out, and of course, I'm not going to name any names or allude in any way, shape, or form to who this family is. However, I did find out that the children of this family here locally were both being abused sexually and mentally by their father, who did not live at the home, did not live in the home, who were kidnapped by their father, and their mother didn't know where they were for weeks. These two were, the 2 children were forced to interact sexually between themselves.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. I wish I were. So basically, when I'm hearing this, I'm a little, number one, agitated, that I wasn't told this from the get-go. But, I mean, who's going to tell a perfect stranger?
Right.
Hang on. So, after we developed a certain level of trust, she started to divulge more info. Basically, what I'm getting to, long story short, is once I found out that all this interaction happened between these 2 teenagers and their father, their biological father, I then started to realize that there was probably not 13 ghosts in this house, that what was happening was a inner manifestation of these children, and they are children. Poltergeist in German means noisy ghost, yes. However, poltergeist, once again, my disclaimer, my thoughts are strictly my own from my own research and my own interactions. I believe that a poltergeist is a manifestation of one's personal trauma, one's personal self that does not have a voice to cry out. So you internalize all this stuff, and it comes out in activity.
And I brought this up earlier. This can be done. A lot of times it happens with teenagers going through puberty with all this pent up energy and stuff that's going on in their life, you know.
Yeah. Well, I had just found out that both of these children had just started puberty. So, yes, I was going to bring that up. So, here we are. You know, I'm smack dab in the case same case, but number 2 investigation. And I'm like, you know, not quite knowing where to go with this, because this was honestly my first real, what I felt was real interaction with poltergeist. So, yeah. Anyway, so, you know, of course it leads off into, you know, talking one-on-one with the kids, talking one-on-one with the parents. And basically, long story short, I ended up being Dr. Phil. And, you know, a lot of people might crack a joke at that, but it is very, very serious. These children are so powerful. They don't even realize, especially when they're empaths themselves or have gifts themselves. They internalize so much that they end up manifesting their own reality. Does that make any sense? Let me go over to chat real quick so I can see what's going on. There it is. Yeah, me too. Yes, Mary. All right, let me read some of this. Yes, the abuse. Yeah. It is very sad. So basically, you know, I think it's, yeah, and this was these children's own father. And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because this was, to me, my first actual real poltergeist case. So I'm not bringing this up to like oogie or googie anyone out. It's the only thing that I have in my story to where we can talk about something else besides other people's stories. And if anybody out there like has had their own poltergeist story, please let us know. We'll bring you in so you can. Did you tell them yet, that Roger?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
actually,
good.
I put the live link
I can hear your story too. But so yeah, in my opinion, strictly, I believe that a poltergeist is an entity that was not here before the traumatic incidences of the children. I believe that it will not exist after the child person heals. I believe that it is manifested throughout the trauma and will continue to exist until that child or person heals.
How do you heal from that?
What I had to do with this blessed little girl, her and I are still friends today. First, I had to use power of suggestion. She was a very big believer in paranormal. She still is. She is a very gifted young lady. She still, to this day, asks my advice on what to do with certain incidences. So, with that being said, because she was so impressionable, I used my knowledge to help her first before getting into her head. I needed her to believe that I knew what I was talking about, and I needed her to believe in herself as well. So, stones that are black onyx, hematite, oh my gosh, there's a lot. You can go in riverbeds and get, oh crap, why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, black stones. I'm not going to sit here and try to stress over this river stone I'm trying to think of. Anyway, I had her go and get a black stone. It happened to be a black onyx. Black onyx are known for absorbing negativity. I also handcrafted her a dream catcher because this all seemed to happen to her while she was sleeping. She also complained to me that she was abused while being asleep, which, I think is a subliminal, subconscious thing with what happened to her. However, we have like, oh gosh, I've got like 8 things going in my head. The entities that come to you when you're asleep. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh my gosh, somebody answer me.
Incubus.
Incubus. And incubus, you can create those too. Incubus and succubus. Yes, that's what I was trying to think of. So she had complained about being attacked while she was asleep. So I had her first put on this necklace. It was a black onyx, and I told her that nothing could harm her while she wore this, and that if she woke up and she was ever harmed, to hold it and pray. She believes in God, so she would pray. And then I built this great big humongous dream catcher to put over her. So the first thing you got to do is give them symbols of something to believe in bigger than themselves, because obviously they're lost. They aren't holding on to whatever faith they have, or they wouldn't have taken the sharp right turn to whatever's going on in their life. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing I did was give her that. Then we would come in and do one-on-one talking. And by far, I am not credentialed to do any kind of, well, I have a peer support certificate. Yay, whoop-de-doo, right? But I am in no way, shape, or form a child psychologist, psychiatrist, anything of that. What I did was come to her as a human being, as someone who is, I don't call myself psychic. I do call myself empath. So I came to her from person to person. Somebody who reads a book and who has a little piece of paper cannot necessarily guide you to healing. Even though I don't denounce psychiatry or psychology, you can't tell me that someone who's read 30 books that are this thick can fix everything. So anyway, I came at her with heart, and once I got her to where she believed that she had the power and that she was manifesting this, that she also had the power to get rid of it, and that she had the power to make it leave. So it was a very long, drawn-out case, but ultimately, I am proud to announce that she is in college, going to the University of Colorado, studying engineering. She is making great grades, and she still to this day tells me hello about once every 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all activity has ceased. Oh, in her house, that is. But I also, I left out a big, huge chunk. I went in for a cleansing. And they like I said, they believe in God. So I took about 5 passages from Psalms. Though I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. I had the whole family saying all that. I drew down some witchcraft, some druidism, and some voodoo. I used brick dust, tar water, ore water, and holy water. And also we blocked off all the portals that were in the house, which ultimately led to about 5 different portals that were in the house. And the cleansing took, and we also put railroad spikes in the 4 corners of the property, along with St. Christopher medals in the 4 corners of the property. We saged the whole area. It was a big whole shebang of all kinds of different things. We brought in Christianity, we brought in voodoo, we brought in typical your everyday standard witchcraft. We brought in everything, and we brought in Native American. And that's something that everybody needs to know. I know I'm being very long-winded here. Okay, you need to realize that up until 2000 and some odd years ago, there was no such thing as Jesus Christ. Okay? And once again, this is my disclaimer. This is just my opinion. So up until 2,000 some odd years ago, okay, well, people have been on this earth for millions of years. So not only do you have to bring in the Christianity of it, the God aspect of it, but you have to bring in the Native American of it. You have to bring in the pagan of it, or you will be, in my opinion, unsuccessful at closing any portal. Any portal. Because people who might be in a location, or the entities that are in a location, what if they didn't know anything of Jesus? You
Right.
go in there with an exorcist, I command you, yada, 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 and you throw around some holy water, that entity knows nothing of that. So that's not going to scare them.
Well, not only that, but it's my opinion that uh, whenever you're doing something like this, you have to have the faith of the client and their family. If they're not Christian, and they may be uh, Native American or something else, you have to use something that they have a strong faith in, because their strength in their faith is going to help stop all this.
Right. Let me blow this up real quick so I can see better. I can't see myself anymore. Did I disappear?
Did you disappear?
Yeah, not literally, but
No, you're there.
okay, cool. I'm sorry, Roger. What'd you say?
Oh, I was talking about the faith of the clients. You have to use something that they have a strong faith in, because their strength in their faith is going to help stop all this stuff.
Absolutely. And these were God-fearing people. So yeah, of course, we couldn't go in there all cloaked up with wands and throwing sea salt everywhere. I command you to leave. They would have laughed at us. So yeah, I always go into every single cleansing, portal closing with all of them. And I'll ask them first, does any of us offend you? And if they say yes, of course we'll leave that out. But I strongly suggest that everybody who needs a portal closed, you don't know exactly what year that, okay, if it's a ghost, if it's a embodiment of a dead person, you don't know exactly what year they lived in. What if they lived in 1540? All they knew was the Old Testament.
Right.
Well, 1540 AD, or I'm sorry, BC. All they knew was, well, they didn't even know that. Oh my gosh, this can go so deep. So yeah, so that was my personal experience with a poltergeist. I fully believe it was a poltergeist, because once this little girl, bless her heart, healed, all activity ceased. Once she believed that she could take her power back, all activity ceased. Everything. So that's another aspect of a poltergeist, besides stuff being thrown off of shelves and your keys ended up being moved. A lot of people will automatically blame that on a poltergeist because of that silly movie. They're here.
Right.
Go into the light. No. Poltergeist, in my opinion, strictly are a manifestation of an entity that comes from your own pain, from your own sorrow. And that's pretty deep. I hope everybody understands that.
Well, some people, some adolescents, have a lot more power within them than they realize.
Yeah.
And when they start manifesting stuff like this, it can get really crazy.
Right, Mary.
It's just flying and breaking, doors slamming, beds levitating, all kind of stuff. Well, I
blame Hollywood for a lot of that. Hollywood has put all that stuff out there that a lot of people believe that that's what your typical ghost haunting should be.
Yeah.
No.
They have the energy to slide dressers across the floor and block doors and all this kind of stuff.
What does? Dead people
No,
or?
I'm talking about the adolescent mind.
Okay, yes, I'm right there with you then. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they, like I said, some of them have a lot more power than people think. You know, and all that's pent up. And after a while, when it starts coming out, I mean, it's coming out full throttle.
Yeah. Agreed. Those are people with telekinesis, the ability to
Yeah,
move things.
they don't, and sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it.
Exactly. And see, I was one of those little kids that used to stare at my door when I was little bitty. I used to lay in bed and I used to stare at my door and wish it to move. I would stare at it and stare at it and stare at it. I'd be like, move, 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 move. It never moved. You know, so I'm one of those kids that would wish their door to move. And then you got Johnny, little boy across the road. His door's moving all the time and he hates it, you know. So,
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because whenever this stuff is going on, their parent may be trying to get to them in a room, and outwardly they want their parent to come rescue them, but that stuff is coming out inwardly and it's keeping them away.
right.
You know, so it's kind of like a what would you call it, a double helix,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a you know, a double opposite, however you want to look at it. Now, if the person that caused them the grief that made them explode with all of this stuff is trying to get in there,
Right.
the subconscious is going to block them out any way they can. You know, it's going to bar the door. It's going to, you know, it may dangle them out a window.
I mean, we're balancing here on a delicate line between haunting, poltergeist, and other things. In my opinion, if a ghost could truly harm people, I think I've said this before, it would be all over the news. It wouldn't be ISIS we were seeing. It would be, you know, this person was attacked by Bobby who died in 1814. I mean, surely. I still to this day, and I would love somebody to, you know, chime in about this. I don't think that humans that have passed on, well, not all humans, let me correct myself, have the ability or the desire to hurt people.
I think some do, and I think some would. Uh,
That's what makes this a great show.
not,
We can bounce
not
some
as
ideas
many,
off. Yeah.
not as many as the ones who wouldn't, but it's kind of like that old saying: "Lived as an asshole, died and is still an asshole." Pardon my French, but you get my drift.
Yeah, I just have a hard time with it. I mean, I was even, and we're going to bring this show up later on, about when I was followed home. It was the first and only time I was ever followed home by an entity, and I know that wasn't human, but we'll get to that later. But it's just like even people who are gifted, you know, I log on Facebook, for instance, and I'll see post after post of people talking to their angels, talking to their spirit guides. And I really enjoy that. And I, even to this day, can get into a deep meditation and reach out to what I think is my spirit guides. Now, this is one of the main reasons I want to bring conspiracy into this, because now I'm not so sure. And I'm not so sure that what I'm speaking to is human. So, I mean, what if these people who all this time thought they were talking to an angel or a spirit guide weren't?
Right.
It's pretty deep.
Well, and I'll use this as my example. Uh, a person who loved torturing people when they were living, I could see them continuing to try to torture people in the afterlife. You know, now at what level they can do this, that's questionable. Um, But do I think they would hurt someone if they could do it? Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I've got a rebuttal to that. Let me know when you're done. Yeah.
okay, because I think really when it gets down to it, a person's personality is part of their soul. It's part of their spirit. So when their spirit crosses over into the other uh, realm, or what do you want to call it, and the veil is thin, and we know this, and they can come back through and they can cause harm, I think they would.
Okay.
You know, I mean, not all spirits are like this, but I think there's some out there that's just evil enough when they're living that they're going to carry it with them.
All right. Let me ask you a question then. All right. When people are in this physical realm, the third dimension, in this crappy body that we call the human form, all right, we have the psychotic people, the crazy people, whatever. Those people get something out of causing harm to other people, whether it be their dirty, flirty minds, or maybe it's an ego boost, maybe it's a sense of power, whatever the reason be, they get something out of doing it. So
Yeah,
when
they get enjoyment out of other people's suffering.
okay, well, when they're out of their body and they've moved on, what do you think they get out of still torturing people?
Because that's who they are. Okay, like I said, I think that your soul is who you are, not your body, your soul.
Okay, well, then let's bring up the religious aspect. When we die, we're supposed to go to heaven or hell. According to the Christians, according to the Buddhist, Taoism, etc., we wait until we're reborn because of the karmic law. That's where I'm at. I believe in karmic law. I believe that we come here and we learn lessons for a reason.
Thank you. Exactly.
So, all right, this is turning into a good debate. I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. So,
let me put it like this.
okay.
We're here to learn a certain amount of stuff. Okay, if you have a reincarnation, it's because you didn't learn what you were supposed to while you were here. But you go to another level after you have acquired the knowledge that you were supposed to learn.
Yes, we're talking about people. You're talking about people now who have learned this lesson. I'm talking about the people who still hurt people when they're dead.
Not everybody follows the
well, they couldn't be at that next level if they're trying to hurt people.
Not everybody follows the design pattern, is what I'm saying. A person that loved to torture and humiliate and degrade and bully and do this stuff in life is going to do it afterwards. And they're not going to want to go on and do what they're supposed to do over there because they're too busy over here having more fun still torturing and humiliating and degrading people.
All right. All right. I mean, I hear you. I get it. Who decides that? I mean, like, oh, this is turning into a direction I didn't want to go.
Yeah, that could
all right.
Thought. So, how about we get back into Poltergeist?
Yes, let's go to Poltergeist. Woo, that is
this for another show sometime.
Anyway, that was my story. That was my personal experience with the Poltergeist, and it really did teach me that the power of the mind is exceptional.
It's very, yes.
The power of the mind, you can freak your own self out.
Yeah.
With the power of the mind. It's not necessarily ghost, a demon, or any of that stuff. It is your own fears manifesting. That is the
crazy part of it, because as you're fond of talking about the awakening, well, I don't think that everybody realizes that it's an awakening. I don't even think they know some of the stuff that they're doing.
Of course not.
You know, and they could be doing some powerful stuff and not know it.
Agreed. 100%.
And that's free.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, it really is. I think that if anybody were to go looking for or trying to research an awakening, they've had a taste of it. Anybody who has stepped down from the podium, who has stopped listening to what the man in cloth has to say, that has decided, well, you know what, this just isn't making sense to me anymore. You know, if anybody has listened to Carl Sagan and they're like, well, that's not making any sense to me anymore. If anybody, I mean, I could go on and on and on. If
Right.
something doesn't resonate with your soul, then chances are, all right,
Me is Margaret. Okay.
it's so hard to get out. Yeah. You need to listen to your gut. So sometimes these two things go to war, your heart and your mind. And it is a tough war, these two right here. We are taught to believe a certain way.
Exactly.
We are taught that this is wrong, this is right, this is, et cetera, et cetera. And when we listen to something that somebody else has said and we're like, wait a minute, that's just, it takes those exceptional people who are willing to step up and out and challenge that I would consider awakened.
Well, I think it's when people start realizing that they are doing some of this stuff that they want to learn about it. Then they want to know what's going on. How can I improve upon what's going on? How can I use it for good or whatever? I know, and we go back pretty good ways, and you can remember when certain things was going on and somebody was going ballistic.
Yeah, I remember.
But yeah, that's kind of how that works, I think. And you, at some point, you start realizing, hey, you know, I don't understand what's happening, but if I can learn how to control this and use it for the betterment, of my brothers and sisters out there in the world, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's tough too. I think you went through it. I know I went through it. Everybody that I personally know that has been willing to put the title of awakening on top of their head has gone through something that I call a spiral. The reason I call it a spiral is because we never come full circle. We come around and then we go up. And then we come around again and we go up. We come around again, we go up. So it's always a spiral. You never go back to where you were. You learn, you learn, you learn, you learn. But this can also be related to the rabbit hole, if everyone knows what that is. And the rabbit hole is very far and very deep. So it can also make you think like you're going crazy, like you're going out of your mind,
yeah, it can.
And it's tough to deal with. And even poltergeist can be a part of that, because if you are in a deep, dark manifestation of your inner feelings, and you're in that zone, then stuff starts moving in your house, or you start hearing stuff, or things start happening to you when you're in bed. You get the sheets pulled off you, you get pulled out of bed, whatever. It just adds to the cluster beep of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And once again, you know where I'm going with this. Gosh, I'm totally in a squirrely mood. Sorry, guys.
We're going to get back into the poltergeist case.
Alice in the Wonderland. Absolutely, Alice. Yep.
This is the Danny poltergeist case. In 1998, Jane Fishman, a reporter for the Savannah Morning News, began a series of articles about a possibly haunted antique bed in the home of Al Cobb of Savannah, Georgia. Cobb bought the vintage late 1800s bed at an auction And this is things I tell people: beware when you buy stuff from yard sales and auctions and all this kind of stuff, because yes, they can come with attachments. Anyway, bought this late 1800s bed at an auction as a Christmas present for his 14-year-old son. Jason, a purchase he later regretted. 3 nights later, Fishman reported Jason told his parents he felt as if someone had planted elbows on his pillow and was watching him and breathing cold air down the back of his neck. He felt sick. The next night, he noticed the photo of his deceased grandparents on his wicker nightstand flipped down, so he righted it. The next day, the photo was facing down again. Later that morning, after leaving his room for breakfast, he returned and found in the middle of his bed 2 beanie babies, the zebra and the tiger, next to a conch shell, a dinosaur made of shells, and a plaster toucan bird that got his parents and his twin brother Lee's attention. Trying to make sense of the irrational, Al called out, "Do we have a Casper here? Tell me your name and how old you are." Then he left some lined composition paper and crayons with his family, walked out of the room. In 15 minutes, they returned and found written vertically in large block childlike letters, Danny 7. With his family out of the house, Al Cobb decided to continue trying to communicate with the spirit of Danny. With the same kind of notes, Danny indicated that his mother had died in that bed in 1899 and that he wanted to stay with the bed. He also made it clear that he didn't want anyone else sleeping in it. The same day, they found a note reading, "No one sleep in bed." Jason, who had moved out of the room, decided to stretch out and pretend to take a nap. That, says Al, was a mistake. "I doubled back in the room to pick up my clothes," remembers Jason, "when this terracotta head that had been hanging on the wall came flying through the room, just missing me before it smashed on the closet door." No one really knows, Fishman writes in her second installment, who or what is leaving the copious notes. Moving the furniture, opening the kitchen drawers, setting the dining room table, flipping over the chairs, lighting the candles, arranging the posters to spell out a person's name, Jill, then hanging the finished product on a bedroom wall. Jason also spoke of other spirits, Uncle Sam, who had come to reclaim his daughter. He said was buried under the house. That's interesting.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Gracie, a young girl whose sculpture sits in Bonaventure Cemetery, and Jill, a young woman who left a number of handwritten messages, among them one inviting the Cobbs to a party in their living room. Parapsychologist Andrew Nichols, head of the Florida Society for Parapsychological Research, investigated the case. What happened at the Cobbs, he told Fishman, more specifically to Jason, would have happened without Danny or the bed. It was the electromagnetic energy of the wall that Jason started sleeping next to when they moved the bed there. That change charged a psychic ability that the boy already had. Now, is that possible? Yeah, that's very possible.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. I'm sitting here in chat, and Roddy just said he'd like to know our thoughts on Ouija boards. Shall we direct him to?
We just did a show on Ouija boards.
We just did it. Yeah.
Yeah, uh, and I thought you were here, Roddy. Anyway, um, My thoughts on Ouija boards is you shouldn't play with them.
Oh, that's not what he means. You know what he means. Is that really your thought? I thought we discussed this and had a pretty clear understanding.
What exactly is it that you want to know about the Ouija board? That will give me a little bit better way of answering the question.
Jody, I know where he's going with this. Yeah. Yeah. What exactly do you want to know? I mean, we can touch base on it for a minute. I mean, we got another hour for the show. Yeah.
Okay, Jody. Rody.
Oh, hold on. Let me hear what Paul has to say. Yeah. Oh, I know what he's saying. Yeah, it was very sad. It was very sad details. Me being the strong empath that I am, when I found out the truth about this situation, it broke my heart. But I'm happy to announce this girl is really doing good now. So.
Okay. Do you think that they can conjure up dark spirits, or do you think that they are unsafe to use? I've used mine all over the place and never had anything happen. Okay. Do I think you can open up doors and let things in? Yes. I think that, and I wouldn't mess with one myself. I'm not going to take no chances. But I think that if a person knows what the heck they're doing and they do everything right, there's less chance of that happening. Not saying that it still can't happen. Not saying that it will happen. You know, if you've been lucky enough to mess with them and nothing's happened, all the better for you. That doesn't mean that nothing ever will. And as the disclaimer says, these are my opinions. It's not, take it as you will. But I mean, that's what I think. Michelle may have a different opinion about it.
Yeah, I do. I totally disagree. Well, I don't disagree with what you said. I believe that, to me, a Ouija board is no different than an EVP recorder, a pair of dowsing rods, your own brain. Your brain is just as much of a portal opener as any piece of wood. This is a piece of wood, folks, in a planchette, which is a piece of plastic usually. It's a piece of plastic. Just throw it across the wall. It's a piece of wood. The only time it has any power is if you give it power. So where does this power come from? It comes from you. So therefore, with that being said, the power is not in that piece of wood. The power is up here. It's in the soul. It's in the mind. So to me, it's no different than an Ovilus, a spirit box, an EVP recorder. Do I think they're unsafe to play with? Here's where they do become unsafe to play with. When they go down the factory line and everybody touches them, flips them over, checks them for faults, puts the planchette together, stamps it with the ABC, the 1, 2, 3, and it goes down the line and it's wrapped in plastic and then it's put in a box to go be sold at Kmart or Walmart. That's when it becomes dangerous, because the whole time it went down the line, it picked up every single person that touched it. It picked up their energy. So you've got, depending on how many people touch it, you may have 13 to 20 people's energy on it. If you don't cleanse it prior to use, yes, it's a dangerous tool. But that's, to me, the only reason it's dangerous. Not because it opens up some magical doorway. It's a piece of wood. It's no different than a piece of quartz.
It would only take 1 or 2 people with really bad, intense negative energy to get on there to cause a whole lot of stress in somebody's life.
Of course. Like, this is a very drastic example, but The Exorcist. Linda Blair or whatever her name was went down and found this Ouija board, and she started playing with it. She started talking to Captain Howdy. Next thing you know, she's possessed. Well, she found the Ouija board. She did not cleanse it, and etc. So it's kind of like that. I mean, that was a horrible example. Oh, I can't believe I brought that up. So yeah, it would be like me trying to do a pendulum reading for someone using Joe Blow down the street's pendulum. I would never do that, ever. You have to cleanse every portal opening tool that you use, every channeling tool you use, you have to cleanse so that it only has your goodness, your energy, your thoughts, your projections on it.
You know, the thing about it is, and I think it's sad, is the fact that they put this out as a child's game, and you have to be 8 years old to do this.
Yeah.
Now, supposing that one or two or more people that worked at this toy factory that manufactured this toys game, this game, place their negative energy on this game that these children are going to be playing with.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous, especially for children. Yeah. We talked about that. Yeah, light as a feather, stiff as a board. That was a child's game, too.
Yeah.
Roddy asked a very good question. One last Ouija board question, please. Last week, someone in chat said you have to either be sensitive or psychic for a board to be able to communicate. Do you believe that?
No.
Nope. Nope.
Absolutely
Once
not.
again, it's a tool. It's a tool. Anybody. Roddy, you could take your EVP player right now, turn it on, and set it down and start asking questions. If you know how to tune in just right, metal rods, well, they're usually copper, if you're talking about dowsing. Usually copper. You could take your EVP and you can set it down and you can start asking questions. If you know how to tune in, it's kind of like a radio station.
Yeah, you're going to get
this. Yeah. You've got to turn to that channel, like here in Louisville, 95.7 is a cool rock and roll, right? Raw. So I don't hear any rock and roll until I get to 95.7. Then when I get to 95.7, boom, all the rock and roll comes through. All right. So then if I want to hear country music, I go to da-da-da-da-da channel. It's kind of like that. You have to tune in. Here's what's interesting. You have the radio tower. It's putting out signals left and right. But you don't know how to tune in. You can't hear anything until you learn how to tune in. Does that stop the radio channel from putting out a signal? No. It's still there. You have to learn how to tune in.
Well, and also I think that every person has abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some just don't realize what it is and how to use it.
Oh, yeah, we're all born with it. What do you think instinct is? Yeah.
So you could be subconsciously tuning into something and not know it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get EVPs and everything, anywhere you go, it's because you are tuning in. You just don't realize you are.
I think a lot of people realize they are. They just don't know how to go about expressing it. I think we've all been in the car driving down the road and we've thought of a song and then boom, it comes on the radio. Or we've thought of a person, boom, they call. I mean, you know, we're all born with this gift. We are indoctrinated at such a young age to turn it off.
It's part of our makeup.
Yes, it is. It is. And we are taught at a very young age to turn it off. And that it is bad.
Have you ever heard about like a person's certain part of their brain that is what's that word? Dormant.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody has a certain amount of ability that are dormant.
Yep.
Okay. And then at some point your subconscious will tune into that. And you may not realize that you're actually tuning into this dormant part of your brain. And then when you do realize it, it's like, oh crap, you know, I've been doing this crap forever, and I didn't realize what I was doing. Now I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to work with it. You know, at least
Well,
in
I
some
mean,
cases, that's how it goes.
I can explain that. I mean, let's look at our pets, for example. Well, actually, we can look at ourselves. Why do insects and poisonous creatures have bright colors? Why are we alarmed when we see a spider that has bright red, or we see a snake that has bright red and black? Now that would lean towards your dormant feature thing you're talking about. That is
That sense of that
that
gut
is part of
feeling.
us. Yes, that is in our DNA to be alarmed when we see these things that can hurt us. Even a dog knows to stay away from a bright red frog. So, you see what I'm saying there, Roger?
Yeah, yeah.
You say dormant. I say we all have these abilities. It is with us from the day we're born. A child, a baby, when women give birth underwater, the baby knows instinctively to hold its breath.
Right. Okay, and riddle me this, Batman. How come you can put a baby in a swimming pool and that baby can swim?
Hmm.
But yet when that child gets to be 3 or 4 years old, it don't know how to swim and it'll drown.
Because it's been programmed that it doesn't know how to swim.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Same goes with the other.
Yeah.
You know, you're programmed from a certain age that spirits don't exist.
Yep.
Uh, that you know you don't know anything. You have to learn it from books.
Right.
Well, that's not true. Okay, I don't have a lot of book sense, but I got more damn common sense than a shitload of people with what you call them, bachelor degrees.
Yeah.
No, because it's not what you learn out of a book. It's what you were born with. You just didn't know how to use it. You ain't gonna get that out of a book.
No, you're not.
You know, I mean, just that's my opinion. Like I said, once again, disclaimer here. But
I know.
you
Yeah.
know, you don't. I don't think you get that from many books. That's just like in the paranormal field. I would put a lot more faith in a person that got out there and did the hands-on work than I would somebody with a degree in parapsychology.
Exactly. And here's an even like more. You will find. And I'm dealing with this with my niece right now. That's why I'm bringing it up. You will find that most drug addicts don't want to listen to somebody with a degree. They want to hear the grit, the dirt of somebody who has been down the needle highway. They don't want to hear it from somebody who's read a book or who cannot relate to them. So yeah, I mean, same way with the paranormal. They want to talk to people that have been there, and everybody just needs to start speaking up. Quit holding it in. Everybody needs to start speaking up. If you've had an experience, talk about it. You would be so surprised at how many people feel the same way you do, but because of public shaming that
Yeah,
happens because you don't believe in what they think is normal.
yep.
Come on, what is normal today?
That's a good one.
Oh my gosh. But everybody needs to speak up and tune in and tune out. Tune out the garbage. It's doing nothing good for us, this garbage we're being polluted with.
Okay.
Oh, that's my favorite. Oh, Mary. Me and Mary are so sisters, I swear.
Uh, another short little brief story here.
Go ahead, babe.
Greyfriars Cemetery. Greyfriars Cemetery is in Edinburgh. Is home to a ghost with a terrible reputation. It's the location of the tomb of George Mackenzie, a 17th century Scottish lawyer. He was responsible for 18,000 opponents of King Charles II being put to death, which earned him the nickname Bloody Mackenzie.
Mm.
Back in 1999, a homeless man broke into the tomb in order to find shelter from the cold. Then he climbed into the coffin. This guy was braver than you might think.
Yeah.
Uh, and all went wrong. The coffin crumbled all over the terrified man, and he ended up running away covered in the dust of the long dead man. This thoroughly terrified a dog walker who probably thought he was seeing a ghost. But the real ghosts were yet to come. People soon started making claims about unusual activity around the tomb. The city council closed the cemetery to the public until local tour guide Jan Andrew Henderson set up an official ghost tour. Since then, 350 people claim to have been attacked by a poltergeist around the tomb. There have been stories of broken bones caused by the spirit. 170 people have passed out during the tour. There's another grave at Greyfriars that could well be the cause of the evil force. Harry Potter fans have been visiting the cemetery to lay messages beside the grave of a man named Thomas Riddle, the original name of Lord Voldemort. J.K. Rowling has said that the grave may well have been a subconscious influence in her choice of name, or perhaps Thomas Riddle really was an evil wizard, and Rowling knows more than she is letting on. Now, was he a wizard?
Yeah.
Some of these things, you can read them and you can laugh about it because, especially when they use the term Harry Potter, it kind of makes light of it, maybe, but it's really not something to make light of because those things actually do happen, and it's because people. It's the same thing I was saying earlier about when you're working a case like that, and you use the faith of the person who's the client you're dealing with. Okay, if they have a strong faith in Native American ritual, then that's what you use. Okay, also at the same time, I think if a person has enough faith and believes that there's a poltergeist hanging out in a tomb, then there's going to be a poltergeist hanging out in a tomb.
Right.
It's kind of like the positive and the negative of the same situation,
Right, right. I'm a little confused on how a poltergeist would hang around a tomb, unless that person left their garbage and their energy out there before they died. That makes sense.
I think what they're saying is basically the spirit was pissed off because the guy got in his coffin with him and crumbled his coffin and scattered his bone dust everywhere. Okay. But anyway,
yeah,
like I said, the guy could have created the poltergeist himself because he was freaking out.
Sure.
So, did he leave that freaked out energy behind? Yeah. How does the residual happen?
Right. Right. Good point. Good point. The residual. Ooh, yeah. That's so deep. Yeah, the fingerprint. Oh, yeah.
So, if he freaked out and he left some freaky energy behind, yeah, other people's going to experience that energy. It's just like somebody at the toy factory leaving negative energy on a Ouija board.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So, he could have left that energy behind. I freaked out because, I woke up in a crumbled coffin with bone dust all over me. Right. Now it's going to haunt me. And, all this stuff's going to happen.
Bone dust, ew. Yeah.
About that. Ew, talk about a Halloween costume.
Oops. Oh, shoot. Let me find.
Anyway.
Yeah. The Indianapolis Poltergeist. Hmm.
Indianapolis. I missed that one, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm looking. Great Amherst.
Black Monk of Pontefract.
Yeah.
The South Shields Poltergeist.
Okay.
The South Shields Poltergeist, a short distance north of Pontefract,
Mm-hmm.
is the town of South Shields. It was here in the summer of 2006 that a young couple and their 3-year-old son were terrorized by a nasty spirit. Their real names haven't been revealed, but they're typically known as Mark and Maureen. The haunting began in December 2005 with the otherworldly feng shui, typical of poltergeist infestations. The spirits stacked chairs, moved chests of drawers, and slammed doors. But this wasn't any old ghost. It was malicious, and it meant business. And it had access to something the family hadn't counted on: small, cuddly toys. One night in bed, Maureen felt her son's toy dog hit her on the back of the head. She sat up about and turned on the lights just in time to see a second stuffed dog flying in her direction. The couple cowered under the davit, but felt something trying to pull it away. All of a sudden, Mark yelled in pain and 13 scratches appeared on his back. The scratches were gone the next morning, while the poltergeist had shown that it could cause direct physical harm to humans. It seemed determined that toys were the way to go. It hung a rocking horse from the ceiling by its reins. Then it placed a large cuddly rabbit in a chair at the top of the stairs with a sharp box cutter in its adorable paws. Ooh. The ghost left messages on the young boy's whiteboard and even sent text messages that couldn't be traced to any phone or computer in this world. They were typically threatening messages like, "You're dead." Even the couple's 3-year-old son sometimes went missing. Now that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He would be found hiding in random parts of the house, cuddled up with his blanket. They found him in a closet once and hiding under a plastic table another time. That's a thing that all children of that age manage by themselves, but the couple blamed their infernal house guest. The family called in paranormal researchers Mike Hallowell and Darren Ritson. The experts determined that, and I hate when they use this experts term.
Yeah, who's the expert?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, the experts determined that even though Mark was the sort of person who seemed like he liked to play pranks, the ghost was real. Then they wrote a book about it, of course. Among the things you can see on the book's website are a picture of a plastic bottle poised in an impossible way and a message on a magnetic drawing toy that says, "Just go now."
Hmm.
Now, I have nothing against authors, but why is it that just about every little case that you hear of, somebody writes a freaking book about it?
Yep.
You know, that to me says, I'm hungry, feed me.
Let's see, a haunting in Connecticut, a haunting in Rhode Island, a haunting in Amityville that turned out to be the Amityville Horror. What else is there? Oh, Lorraine Warren and that whole shebang. Woof. I don't know. I guess that's what you did back in those days, because we couldn't sit around and have discussions like we're doing now. So people would write books about it, hoping that it would connect with someone. I mean, think about it.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're going to have a lot of authors on our show who
Yeah.
have done the very same thing. So I
The
would
thing about
assume
it is
I'll
some
ask
things
them.
are, to
Yeah.
me, some things are worthy of writing a book about.
Yeah.
Some things are, I don't know, how would you word that? In some cases, I think it's just somebody trying to make a buck. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, because and if you get into some of this stuff, you'll realize that I think there was a little bit more ad lib to the story than actually took place.
Right.
Now, if you're going to write a book about the paranormal, to me, about a case in the paranormal or whatever, stick to the truth.
Right.
Write it as it is. And if it's boring to some people, oh well, but at least it's honest, truthful fact.
Yeah.
That's why.
I don't know. I've always thought about writing a book about my life, and I think it would be a #1 bestseller because I've been through some shit. However, that might be my own grandiose ideas.
Here's a book about my life. I went to bed. I woke up.
And it wasn't in a box, so you're doing
I
good.
wasn't in a box with bone dirt.
You're going to be somebody's wicked poltergeist. You're going to be somebody's worst nightmare, dude. You're going to be, oh, you're having a bad day? Let me throw something across the room. Crash. Yeah.
Yeah, remember what you did to me back in such and such date? Well, here, eat this freaking plate, you shit.
Oh, The Secret. Oh, Mary just brought up a good point. The Secret. I used to really like that book, though, Mary, because it talks about that we can manifest our own reality. Like if you're fixing to pull into Walmart, okay, and you're like, I'm going to get the third parking spot. I'm going to get the third parking spot. I'm going to get the third parking spot. And you can keep on thinking that. Chances are, more than not, that you get that third parking spot. How that works, I'm not sure, because I don't claim to be any of these experts that we talk about. But yeah, that book was interesting.
Well, I mean, if you can write a book and have it published and people buy it, more power to you. I'm just saying that I'd like to see more actual factual stuff,
Right. Oh, bravo, bravo, bravo.
Anyway, having said that,
Bravo, Roddy. Bravo, right? Yep, right on. I mean, if what they're saying basically in a nutshell is if The Secret really has any plausibility to it, instead of wishing for the Walmart parking spot, like I just said, let's all focus together. Actually, there are a lot of, believe it or not, Facebook rooms that have these mega, let's all get together from all over the world and let's send out healing thoughts. Let's send out healing thoughts to the people of Syria. Let's send out healing thoughts to the people of Israel. Let's send out healing thoughts to the people of Baton Rouge right now. There are people who do that. It's not called The Secret, but there are people that literally do that. And they have like these meditation circles. And their whole purpose of it is to send out these thoughts and make a difference. So it does happen. Oh, hi, Josh.
anyway, Let's see. What did we? No, we already did that.
Poltergeist. We keep
Did
getting
I get way back up here?
Poltergeists are boring. Let's talk about this other stuff, you know? In the world. Anyway. So.
Poltergeist, not boring. Poltergeist.
No, they're not. People swear them down. They're being haunted by them, but, you know. Does anybody that's listening to us have a story that they'd like to share? You are welcome to come on air and talk to us. Come on now. Come on. Come on.
We're way back up there in the chat. There's a live link that you can click on if you have a.
Can you repost it, or do you want me to?
Well, I don't know if you can. I'd probably have to.
Well, I probably can't. I'm gonna answer Josh's question while you look for it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that is not it. Okay. I have to jump back over here so I can grab it. Come back here. Where'd you go? Yeah. Okay. Now I can put it back in here. Now, anybody that has a true personal poltergeist story, if you want to click on that link, you can come on here live with us and talk about it. Yeah.
Don't make me, I was going to say, don't make me sit here and keep talking.
Yeah. No, the show's just going on hiatus for a little while till Christina gets her health and stuff back up to par. And
yeah, there's some kind of stomach bug going around that's affecting a lot of people, especially here. I don't know about there in Tennessee, but in Kentucky, a lot of people are wiped out right now.
Oh yeah, stuff's been going around here too. But anyway, yeah, it's going on hiatus for a little while, and but Half Past Dead and Timeless Dimensions, Ghost to Ghost PM will be going weekly around the end of October.
Yep.
And so we'll go ahead and announce that now. Our Halloween special is going to be a roundtable that we're going to do on the 30th, which is the day before Halloween. So that should be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to ruin it by mentioning anything that we've got planned, but it's going to be fun, so you don't want to miss that. Anyway, well, let's not talk about Poltergeist anymore. Let's talk about this. I've got something for you, the Miami case.
Paranormal adventure. Oh, yes. I am going to take a break. I'll be right back. Go ahead, Raj.
1966, the Miami case. Primary sources Roll, W.G. and Pratt. 1971, the Miami disturbances, the Journal of American Society for Paranormal Research. Investigator William Roll and J. Ganther Pratt. This case centered on a warehouse for novelty items. Now, see, that's interesting. And Tropication Arts in Miami. The two principal investigators were William Roll and J. Ganther Pratt. When they arrived at the warehouse, the police, I don't know if that's, had noticed that there were certain shelves from which things were more likely to take off from than others. That is, there was area focusing. The incidents themselves were rarely seen, and when the news media set up their cameras and pointed them at the activity areas, this too inhibited the occurrences. Since direct observation suppressed the activity, the officers used empty soft drink bottles as decoys. placing them in these special sites and telling the employees to stay away. Several crashed to the floor when no one was near enough to give them a helping hand, including Julio Vasquez, the 19-year-old shipping clerk, who seemed to trigger the incidents. And then again, you have to say, 19 years old, no, that's not necessarily a teenager going through puberty, but still young, and who knows what kind of stuff this person was dealing with. So again, you could say, this is all caused by his subconscious or what have you. Most of these special sites were on the east side of the large stockroom. This had 3 freestanding tiers of shelves and one along the west wall. It also had desks and shipping tables. There had been object focusing as well. Certain items such as beer mugs and zombie glasses were especially restless. Wonder why that is. So especially if they were empty, I could understand somebody getting upset. Then isolated from the employees and the owner of the warehouse. However, several of the targets fell to the floor. As an example, on 31st January at 11:27 a.m., Julio was sitting on his haunches placing a toy alligator on a shelf when there was a crashing sound. A zombie glass, which investigator William Rowe had placed on a shelf 4 feet behind Julio, lay shattered on the floor. When the glass broke, Rowe was standing 5 to 6 feet from Julio, watching him. Both of his hands were occupied. In the right, he held the toy alligator. In the left, his clipboard. There were 2 other workers in the warehouse, but they were more than 15 feet from the glass. They could not have picked it up previously and then thrown it because Rowe had placed the glass on the shelf and no one had been there since. Rowe wanted to find out whether the object simply slid off the shelves or whether they could be made to rise up in the air. He therefore placed some notebooks in front of the glass and other objects along the sides. These objects were undisturbed, so the glass must have moved up at least 2 inches to clear the obstacles. Now, saying that these other people were 15 feet away, so they couldn't have done anything, I don't believe that necessarily, because if a person's subconscious and their energy is strong enough that they're putting out, whether they realize they are or not, why could it not travel 15 feet? Just saying, just an idea there.
Yeah. It's limitless.
Yeah.
We've talked about the whole 4th dimension thing being the restraints of time. Well, we also have been taught that there is a restraint on our mind. So for someone to say that it went 15 feet, for someone to go, oh, how did it go 15 feet? That's right. Exactly what I'm talking about. It is a restraint on the mind. Our mind is limitless. It's feetless. It's spaceless. It's dimensionless. It's, we are our own worst enemy. We restrain ourselves. So yeah. I always go so deep.
if a child, and this is just an example here, I'm just saying, if a child unwillingly, unknowingly is creating havoc in a room, and say they're standing in the hallway and dishes are flying across the kitchen and doors are slamming all in the kitchen and everything like that, which is probably 6 to 8, 10 feet away, why couldn't somebody move a thing from 15 feet? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a very good point. I'm really glad you brought that up, because how could a child who does not, Well, I'll be darned, Roger. You've stumped me. Hang on. So if a child, let's even break that down a little bit more. A 2-year-old, how could they have physically manifested a poltergeist when they don't even understand what they're feeling? All right. I'm glad we got a few minutes because I got to think on that one. That's a good question.
But, you know, I mean, just like if they can do all that, why couldn't a person from 15 feet away move a glass up 2 inches and off into a floor?
Right. Roddy's going to try and come in with us here. I think that's awesome. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it. You're so silly.
No.
Well, maybe it's not the child. Well, you got Miss Buddhist Taoist here. Maybe it is their frustration from the past life. Oh, bravo.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's, yeah, I don't know.
Very
That's
good.
me grasping. Because a child of innocence is pure energy. Okay. But if the energy is pure, which of course you would think it would be, then how could they manifest a poltergeist if a poltergeist is a traumatic, negative form of what they're feeling? You understand, Mary?
Well, I think what she meant by pure is that it's not inhabited or held back.
Well, it could be their mother. Maybe their mother is frustrated over the child's behavior and has therefore manifest a poltergeist to take it out on the child subconsciously. Disclaimer.
I mean, there's all kind of ways to look at
There is.
kind of activity. You know,
Endless.
it can come from anyone who is dealing with. Okay, let's try this for example.
Yes, you have to accept, and you also have to accept. You have to click the little box, and then yes, you do, Roddy. Right, exactly, Mary. The energy can be shaped by their experience.
Sorry. Where do I need to go there, Roddy? I don't know where.
No, I do it when I call into you. I have to click the little box. It brings me up.
Yeah.
And I have to click the little box and say go, and then something else comes up, and I have to click it too. So yes, Roddy, you're doing the right thing.
Okay. Anyway.
No, no, not that hangout. Not that hangout, honey. Click the link. He's doing the wrong hangout. He's doing the wrong hangout. I know what he's doing. It's the wrong.
Yeah, I've had other people do that. Use the link I sent you in the chat room.
Yeah, let me do the link too and see if it works. Hang on. Well, the one I'm on should work, right? Well, hang on. Let's see. Well, there's two different ones.
Right there, that one right there.
There you go.
Anyway.
Now, is that going to be the one where he has to pause the player?
Yeah, if he's in the chat room, he will.
Okay.
Or she will.
I keep calling you Roddy. I'm sorry.
Anyway. It's Rhodey. Sounds like Cody.
Rhodey. Oh, that's right. Rhodey, my fault.
Okay, now, getting back to
that's why I call everybody Sweetie, so I don't mess up.
My thought was, okay, let's say you have an adolescent who's going through puberty and has a bunch of pent-up energy.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it comes busting forth, right, causing havoc.
Okay.
Okay, mom is freaking out.
Right.
Like you said, because all this shit's going on. So why can't her subconscious fight back the same way and cause more freaking havoc?
I think you heard me subconsciously while I was saying that the mother could have a lot of frustration on the child because the child's getting on her nerves or whatever, and the poltergeist is therefore created that way. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I said that like 2 minutes ago. I'm not sure. Maybe I was just thinking
So you have two people putting out energy that's creating a freaking hurricane in a house.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I am a
Yep.
girl, and my name rhymes with Cody. Rhodey.
My
Yes.
fault. I was calling her Roddy. That was me.
Okay.
I'm so ashamed.
How are
Look,
you?
I'm doing well. This has been an awesome show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
yes, I finally got in. I tried last week to get in and couldn't get in, but
Okay.
this is going to be a
Well,
little bit. Oh, I'm sorry.
now you know how to do it. So if you ever want to come on, holler at me. I'll throw the link in there for you, and you can jump in, and
bravo.
Sounds great.
everything is good.
Yeah.
Let's hear the story. Talk to us, girl.
Oh, I don't have a story. I thought I just said I don't have a poltergeist story, but in chat they said I could just call them with an adventure, or it's also actually going to end up with a question for you guys.
Okay.
I've only been doing this about 5.5 years, investigating. I never believed in it till one of the TV shows. Anyway, but I've been doing it the first 3 years. I got to go around the country in the state of Texas. I'm in Houston. And I've got to use my equipment. I'm not sensitive. I'm not psychic or anything. But let me get to my question, because I heard you, Michelle, earlier saying that about spirits not being able to, and I'm paraphrasing, but interact or harm us. And I believe that. But here's my question. I've been, like when I've been to Yorktown Memorial Hospital many times here in Yorktown, Texas, and I was up at the pulpit in the church of the hospital, and I was being just a bit provocative, and a girl, a fellow investigator, sitting in one of the pews, then was going like, ouch, ouch, and grabbing her shoulder, and it looked like she had a bite mark now. And then there's been a couple times at Black Swan in San Antonio, another time an investigator kept saying, oh, I can't get through the door, the spirit won't let me through. I got so tired of hearing that, I finally came up behind her and shoved her through that door, like, there you go. You're through it now, you know.
Right.
And so I guess my question, well, I was so tired, Roger, all night she kept saying it, I can't get through the door. So I pushed her right through. And
I think I've done the same thing. Like, here, let me help you.
it's like, what do you mean you can't get through the door? So I guess my question is a kind of a two-part, if you guys don't mind, because I love talking to people that know more and have more experience. Do you think, because I think investigators sometimes, my limited experience, that they let their mind run away with them, and if this woman was really, if it was really true, she can't, like at another place, they won't let me go up the stairs, you know, same thing, I pushed her up the stairs, but
Okay.
do you think that's a mind over matter thing, or do you really think spirits can do that to people that are sensitive?
Mind that was holding her back, because if there really truly was a spirit keeping her from going through that door, you wouldn't have been able to push her through that door.
Right, okay.
I don't agree. But you finish, Roger.
Well, I'm just saying, if it was truly a spirit holding her back from going through that door, and that spirit did not want her to enter that room, you would not have pushed her through that door.
Why? Why would that spirit have been able to hold her back?
This is what we're saying. If that were truly a spirit holding her back and did not want her to enter, I don't think that anybody would have been able to push her through that door or anything else, because they would not have allowed her to do so.
I understand that, sweetheart, but that's not answering why. There's got to be a physical reason why.
Why would the spirit not want her to go through the door?
No, why couldn't... All right. I have an opinion on that. Are you cool, Rhodey, with me saying that? Did I say that right?
No, yeah, you said my name correctly, yeah. I'm
cool.
pins and needles waiting to hear.
Well, I mean, there's several things. My brain's kind of like going poof, poof right now, because that's a really good question. And I do agree with what Roger said. However, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason why this is not physically applicable. So let's toy with this for a second. Let's take everything that we know as investigators and let's think about it. Okay, so if someone was trying to get up the stairs and the spirit, see, that's a touchy word for me. Let's say the manifestation of a dead person, did not want this person to get through, and you had to push that person to get through, and the person went through, then maybe there are two things here. The fear within that person's own mind that
That's
they
what I
didn't
said.
want to go up there and face, because maybe they were a little bit scared but didn't want anybody else to know.
That's
And
what I'm thinking.
yeah, to me, that's the only reason why a spirit manifestation of a dead person would try to hold somebody back. Rhodey, you weren't here, I don't think, when I expressed my opinion on what I think a lot of the things we run into are. I don't think the majority of them are dead people. So, and I'm not talking demonic or any of that stuff. If a entity did not want her to enter that space, now that's why I call my show Timeless Dimensions, because I do believe in alternate dimensions, and if that entity did not want her in that space, she wouldn't have got there, whether
That's
you
what I
pushed her or
was
not.
saying.
So, because she did get through with you pushing her, that tells me that that was a manifestation of her own fears.
Yes.
That's the why.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. If it were truly a manifestation of an entity that was holding her back and did not want her to go, I don't think you or anybody else could have pushed her through there. I think
Okay.
it was in her head.
That's what I was thinking too, but I mean, I don't
Jumped her
know.
on through there, everything was okie dokie then, right?
Everything was fine. Yeah, nothing happened. Everything was fine.
That was in her head.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, a lot of people I've met, and like I said, I was fortunate the first couple of years to travel all over the country and the state, and everyone I meet seems to be sensitive or psychic. Is that y'all's experience? I'm one of the few that doesn't have those.
Were you here earlier when I said that everybody has an ability?
Intuition you were talking about.
Okay, everybody is. It's like that term dormant. Everybody has a certain ability. Okay, it lays dormant. You don't realize, and some people do things and they're not realizing that they're doing it. Okay, some people never wake up and realize that they are doing it and that they have this ability, and some people do. It all depends on the person, I guess. And
That's what you say about that also, yeah.
if you think I'm right or wrong there, but
No, you are absolutely right. We agreed on this earlier. Everybody is born with the cognitive ability to use these gifts. It is through social programming that these gifts get suppressed.
yes,
Some people will manifest these gifts through, like I said, you think of a song, boom, it comes on the radio. You think of who's calling, boom, they call on the phone. These are your natural born gifts, your natural born right of intuitiveness that comes through. So that's really a tricky question. We are all born with these gifts, like Roger said, but I feel through social programming that they are suppressed by whatever circle you're in. But the trick is to realize with whoever you're hanging out with or whoever's in your social circle, to realize through the cloak and dagger crap, that's the only word I know that I can think of right now, the cloak and dagger stuff, to realize that they truly are gifted. And if you spot somebody that's truly gifted, encourage that. Encourage them to bring it out. Or they're going to sit there and think they're freaking out of their mind for the rest of their life.
well, they don't think they're nuts, and that they're just crazy. That's why this is
I don't know
happening.
how else to explain it.
If you're familiar with that old saying, well, I had this feeling in my gut I shouldn't do this.
Yes.
That is part of that ability I was talking about.
Okay. Okay.
That
great.
is your subconscious telling you, whoa, back up, you need to not do this.
Right. I've
You
had
always
that.
listen to it? No, you don't. But
Right.
usually when you don't, you wind up in a mess.
Yeah.
That is part of that gift I'm talking about. Everybody has it.
Yeah. Well, I'm
But
just so
I mean,
grateful I got through and get to ask you guys. Can I ask one more thing? Just one more quick question,
yeah,
may I please
sure.
ask? Oh,
Please.
thank you. Okay. Um, I've been told what you two just told me. I've been told by many people we're all born with it. I have really opened myself up as far as religions and God. I do some yoga. I took meditation classes. I've done everything that's been advised to try to nurture and grow this. And I absolutely believe, I think I've documented consciousness after physical death. And so is there anything you might could suggest or guide me towards to anything else I'm not doing to help me to nurture this? I would like to have it a little. I mean, I'd like to get goosebumps or feel things or sense things, but
Oh
Have
yeah.
have you ever heard that saying, practice makes perfect?
well, yes, and
It does.
I have, and
That's
I've
one of the
been the
best things I can tell you as far as encouragement. Practice does make perfect.
You mean I keep doing meditation and things like that, and talking to the universe and like that? You mean the
I
stuff
mean,
I'm doing? Keep doing it?
okay, when you have that gut feeling
Yes.
and it tells you within all your being, you better not do this or something bad's going to happen, follow that feeling.
Okay. Well, I
Okay,
don't really get that
encourage that
often.
feeling. If something tells you, I'll give you an example. I went to the store one day. There's a little convenience store about 2 blocks from here, and I pulled up in front of the store one day, and I went to go in the store, and I happened to look over and see this guy pumping gas. And he looked at me, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and my skin crawled, and everything within me said, this guy beats his wife, he beats his kids,
Oh,
he's pure evil. And I knew that.
wow.
And so I let him go in the store and leave before I went into the store because that's how creeped out he made me.
Were
And
you able to? Were you
I'm
able
sorry.
to? Were you able to find that out, like for sure, like from a family
No,
member or something?
no,
No.
I couldn't
Okay.
document it, but everything
Okay.
in my being told me that I was right, and
Yes.
I've learned to listen to that. Um, when something tells me something like that, and this is how quick it can turn around. I walked into the store. There was this elderly lady standing at the counter in front of me, and the vibes that she put out were so clear and so clean and so good that it turned that whole situation around, and I left there smiling. That is how stuff like that can work, and
Yeah.
you'd be amazed, you
Yeah.
know.
That is
But
amazing.
all I can tell you is if you start experiencing things that you don't understand, it doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that you're waking up to things that you didn't realize you had.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Wake them up.
No, uh, and Michelle tell you the same thing. I think pretty much.
Sort
You
of. I've got like some a little bit deeper insight. Rody, do when you meditate, are you in contact with your guides at all?
No, I've never
Okay.
heard, felt anything, but it does keep me just calmer. I mean, it's helped in other aspects of my life. Not, you know what I mean? I just
Right.
feel
Of
a calmer
course.
person, not so short fused, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I agree totally with Roger said. You always follow your gut instinct. Always. If you come to a fork in the road and you look towards the right and your gut goes, ah, and then you look to the left and you're like, okay, don't go to the right.
no,
Yeah, I mean that's the gut instinct. As far as recognizing how to pay attention to your intuition, he's right with that as well. He just didn't go into detail. Practice does make perfect. You do need to learn how to meditate. Mary just said something very, very poignant. And yes, Mary, you are absolutely right. You have to learn how to quiet your mind. And this takes a lot of time. Um, I have like what's the word? Mind. Like I guess you ever seen the movie Up where the dog's like and then he goes squirrel? That's me.
Yeah,
And
ADD
a
a little
lot, a
bit.
lot of these shows are going to be like this because we'll be on a topic and then I'll have this thought, and until I get that thought out, that's all I can think about. So you do have to quiet the mind. You have to quiet all your surroundings. The best way to do that is by grounding. Are you familiar with grounding?
I am, where you literally imagine you're grounded, like big roots.
Yes, you ground. You walk outside in a quiet space. You take off your shoes. You dig your toes in the dirt. Connect with Mother Earth. Connect. Stick your toes in the dirt. You know, you are literally connecting to Mother Gaia by doing that. You are grounding. Let the energy flow through you. Relax. Meditation is a very hard thing to accomplish because you have to literally quiet the mind, like Mary said. The way I found it to be the easiest is sort of like counting sheep. But I start at my head, and I literally will shut down. I will focus on the top of my scalp. I will tell those muscles to relax. Then I'll go down to my temples. I'll tell those to relax. Then I'll go to my eyes, etc., 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 all the way down. Usually, by the time I'm at my shoulders, I'm asleep. So it does take like a trick. You've got your alpha, beta, theta waves. The true meditation are in the theta waves. That's where a lot of people astral travel. That's where the astral plane is, etc., etc. So, shit, I just forgot your question. See, squirrel? What was your question?
You're cracking me up. It was just about how
to my world. What?
Michelle,
Yes,
I can meditate. My mind runs 900 miles an hour.
Me
and
too. I just forgot what her question was.
And the only way, if I ever do get that quietness that you're talking about, that relaxation, I'll go to sleep.
And that's the trick. That is tricky. So
there is one time I don't, and it's only a specific spot.
All right. Rhodey, go ahead, please. What was
the question was just, what can I do to further nurture and expand and grow my abilities?
Yes. So meditation would be that, of course. Have you ever heard of shadow work?
No.
Shadow work is once you master the art of meditation, and I don't mean master like you're a Zen, blah, 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 any of that. It's where you can like go to that safe spot and you can connect. And I would like to talk to you one-on-one maybe later after the show or within the next few days on how to connect with your guides. Maybe we'll even do a show about that. That would be great, Roger. Because a lot of people don't know how to do this.
Right.
You've got to learn how to connect with your guides. Then there is something called shadow work. Everybody can Google this. It's all over the internet. Shadow work. In order to freely connect with your guides, you have to drudge up all of your. Can we cuss?
Hell yeah.
Anyway, you have to drudge up all of your bullshit. You have to drudge it all up, and you have to confront it, and you have to face it, and you have to conquer it. That is the only way to, in my opinion, once again, disclaimer, in my opinion, you only be able to nurture your psychic gifts, your empath gifts.
There are spots.
You have to face it, deal with it, and kick it all to the curb. Then you can open up and help others. So shadow work is huge, huge in manifesting that.
Was that 4 times?
So shadow work.
Yeah, I'll definitely Google that and.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah. Once you get through that, then please get a hold of me and we'll take it to the next step.
Absolutely, I will.
Namaste.
You're so sweet. You said to help others. I don't really want to help others. I want to have the experience myself. I don't mean that in a bad way. You know what I mean.
Didn't want to drudge up my crap either, but let me tell you, it was for the best.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. So this has been awesome. Thank you guys. I know it's 8 o'clock. Have that next show. Have that show about what you were just saying. That's great. Y'all do a wonderful job.
Paul said, "Listen to the Jedi." No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Please
Bye-bye.
call in anytime. Bye
I
bye.
will. Thank you.
Oh, I love this. We gotta let people call in all the time. Oh my god, this is awesome.
4 times. You cut me off 4 times.
Oh,
You.
how did I do that?
I was trying to say something, and every time I'd start to say something, you would
Squirrel,
stop.
squirrel. Sorry.
Oh, squirrel. Okay. All right, quit making faces at me.
I'm holding my lips shut.
Oh, I thought you were making faces like, meh.
No,
Anyway.
I'm holding my lips shut.
What I was trying to tell her is that there's one other way where you can find that peace and that quiet, and I've always found it in a wooded area. And it goes back to your saying about the grounding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's also certain spots that you will run into that hold this energy. And when you're in there, you're quiet. Everything is quiet. Your mind's not running. Your sound is like not even part of it. And that's the only place that I can ever meditate and stay awake. But they're very far and few between. You don't run into them everywhere.
And what is this? What are you saying again? Like a certain
It's like
spot in the earth?
Yes.
What?
Okay. And it's always in a wooded area, like
Yeah.
Mother Earth, a wooded area. Okay.
Well, I'm a previous druid. Of course, I love the woods and the trees. Yeah.
I've always run into it in a wooded area, and I've run into maybe 4 or 5 of them over the years. And every time I do, it's like walking into perfect peace and tranquility. That's the only way to explain it. It's like your mind goes clear. You don't worry about nothing. You don't hear the sounds, the normal sounds that are around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like perfect peace.
Yeah. For me, that place is the beach. For some people, it would be a wooded area. For me, it's the beach. Yeah. The sound of the waves shut everything else down.
That is the only place that I can meditate and stay awake. And I'm fully awake in these areas. But it's like everything is quiet. It's like there's nothing interfering with you.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah. And it also takes a mindset. I mean, I can walk to the beach, and if I've got a lot of drama going on in my life, it doesn't matter if I sit down next to the beach or in the woods or whatever. You've got to somehow learn to let it go, to shut it down. And that does take practice, like you were saying.
yeah, I go fishing sometimes just so I can be alone and have a peace. And I don't care.
I'm curious to see this answer. Is that Nirvana, Roger? Do
What?
you know what Nirvana is?
What?
Nirvana is, not the rock band.
Nirvana? The group?
I knew you were going to say that.
What's that one song that
You've got a question. Is it Nirvana? I don't think Roger has studied much Buddhism or Taoism.
No.
So
No, I have not.
yeah.
Roger studies actual what he experiences,
Right.
and you can't get any plainer than that. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not a bookworm.
Yeah.
So.
Is there any way when we close the show we can keep the chat up? Because I mean, can we do that?
If we close the show here, the chat can stay open. Yes.
Oh, great! That's what I want to do. I want to stay in chat and talk to everybody. I've been talking.
We are 3 minutes past our 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and shut the live show down, people. I want to thank everybody, though, for participating and coming in here and making this farewell edition just awesome. Having said that, and my partner there was all dolled up and she just looked scrumptious tonight.
Stop it.
Anyway, so, I hate to turn her off, but Anyway, we're going to keep the chat open if you guys want to talk. We're going to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sticking around. I'm like in the zone. I want to talk some more. So
But thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in. And we're going to keep the chat open probably at least for another good half hour because we're, as she said, in the zone.
yeah.
So anyway, shutting this down. Thanks, everybody, one more time.
Thank you.